Gather round. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the center of the stage, where I'd like to introduce to you the one, the only, the incomparable.
And welcome to Austin James Unleashed. I am, Austin James. What's going on? Thank you for watching the video and being a part of the podcast. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We have lots of great guests coming up and some surprises too. You never know who's going to pop in on Austin James Unleashed. Here at the table is a guy named Timothy Wayne. How you doing, Bubby?
Good. How are you doing?
All right, man. Thanks for talking with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We're at the world-famous Texas Club. Remember to check out thetexasclub.com for all kinds of great shows coming up. And you've performed here as well.
Yeah.
You were talking about coming here as a college student, and we're going to talk about your college career. But you were coming here, and we were introduced about a year or so ago.
Yeah, the Joe Nichols concert. It was my very first time coming to the Texas Club.
Right.
It's actually the same night I met Trey Gallman, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a good night. I remember that. And you told me about who you are and where you came from. And I said, well, that's cool. We need to have some more conversations with this guy. I'm going to tell you why in just a little bit, because if he looks familiar, there's a good reason. Tell us about growing up in your hometown.
Gosh, in Franklin, it's like growing up. I actually spent a good bit of my time in a little town called Leapers Fort. And when I say little, I mean it's the reason I liked it is it's kind of stuck in the past. I'm very old-fashioned. When you go to Leapers Fort, you have a main street, you have shops, you have a diner called the Country Boy. So I grew up going there almost every day. But the community around Franklin's really strong. So it was a good sense of community, but also the music. Franklin's about 30 minutes away outside of Nashville. But even still, you have tons of music in downtown Franklin. You could go to, there's a restaurant called Puckett's. There's usually a guy inside on the stage playing or a band playing. We used to have Puckett's Boathouse. It's since been closed, but they used to have live performances there too. You'll see people on the side streets playing fiddle, banjo, whatever. So music was a very prevalent part of my life in Franklin as well.
Well, you come from a very musical family. Actually, music is a family affair. Tell us about your manager. This is an interesting story.
So my mom is my manager. She's been around the music business for a long time, not as long as her older brother, who's been in the music business for a long time. Can't preface that in a long time. Tim McGraw, he's been there for a while. He's actually kind of the one that championed me through this whole process. Him and my mom have been two of my biggest supporters. My uncle actually produces my music along with Byron Gallimore.
Oh yeah, but Byron's been around too.
Yeah, Byron's been around a long time, but still as spry as a spring chicken.
Yeah, he's been with Tim for years. I mean, from the beginning,
from
actually.
From the beginning, yeah. Very start. He was the first person that gave Uncle Tim a look, really. And it's been really cool. You know, growing up, I always loved music and always wanted to do it, but I never thought I could until my uncle started. We would do this thing where he'd send me country songs and tell me to learn them. So one of my favorite songs, but my least favorite to sing, is a Tom T. Hall song. Yes, I should have written Dad to let you know that I was coming home.
Why don't you like to sing that?
I had to learn it in 15 minutes and send a video to my uncle because he wanted to hear me sing it. And 15 minutes, that song has so many different melodical changes. It's not even funny. And it was like, I'm never singing this. I'm going to listen to it plenty, but I'm never singing this again. And, but I love doing it, but we used to do that all the time. And then eventually that turned into him becoming a mentor, which he was always a huge mentor outside of everything else. It's just an uncle, because all he really is to me is an uncle. And he's been a huge mentor of mine for forever.
Did he teach you to play guitar?
No. I learned to play guitar in high school. That was later in life. I needed an art credit, And I did the one thing my uncle actually told me always never to do, and that was pick up a guitar, because music steals your life away. So I picked up a guitar and I played guitar, and well, that was all she wrote. Right after I started playing guitar, my mom was actually the one that got me on the first stages. She called a friend of ours on Legends Corner in Nashville, went down there, got up, did a few songs, and the catalyst moment was that made me decide that I wanted to give my all and try my hardest to do music was that night. I started singing a cover. I'm a huge Waylon Jennings fan, so I did Looking Texas.
Ooh.
And older cowboy walked up to the bar, asked a younger lady to dance, and they danced in front of me. And then before I knew it, there was people coming in off the streets to come and dance to Looking Texas. So we wound up running the last chorus 3 times before we stopped the song. So we turned that 3-minute and 20-something second song into about 5 minutes. But
I've never heard an extended version of Lukenbach, Texas.
we just kept doing the chorus over and over again. It was really fun. But that was kind of the catalyst that made me beforehand, I wanted to join the United States Marine Corps. That was my goal in life, was to be a Marine.
Why is that?
I never really knew. I still don't. Ever since I was 4, I wanted to join. I have a lot of family members in the Marine Corps, but I never really knew what drew me to them. But everything about the Marine Corps, I mean, I spent my entire life preparing for them. I had planned to come to college and take a bunch of military science classes, and I'm already majoring in history at LSU, so that helps too with OCS. And but I'm not joining the Marine Corps anymore. But yeah, music just kind of.
Well, you can always do a USO tour for the troops.
Yeah, I would love to do that, actually. I've talked a ton about doing that. I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to. There was actually a point on Standing Room Only. North Carolina and South Carolina both have United States Marine Corps camps. So when we were in North Carolina and Raleigh, I actually wanted to leave that show and go do a private show at the Marine camp there. And I believe it's Camp Lejeune. And I wanted to go there and do a show, but I didn't have enough time. I had to wind up getting back on the bus and then shoot off to the next place.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like...
Hey guys, it was a pleasure serving you.
But we didn't even order yet.
Huh.
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof.
Call Go Roof instead.
We offer a free, no-obligation inspection.
A beautiful roof every shingle time.
Bobby, goes in the front.
What do you think about touring?
I love it. Wasn't long enough. I've spent a lot of time on the road as is just growing up. But the summer being on the road, I was asked just a few weeks ago, what did you think about touring? And I said the same answer. It wasn't long enough. I miss it every day. I love being at college. I love the experience. I love my buddies. I love being around everybody, but I miss touring. I love being on the road. I love going to see all the places, meeting new people, and being able to perform with people. It's a huge blessing and a privilege to be able to do this line of work. And touring is a huge part of that.
Do you tour in, say, an extended van with a trailer, or do you have a bus?
We rented a bus for the Standing Room Only tour, only because it was so close together, and that was only actually for the first leg. The second leg, we had a Chrysler, I think it's called a Chrysler Pacifica minivan.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Chrysler Pacifica minivan that me, my 3 bandmates, my road manager, and manager all got in with all of our equipment, by the way, no trailer. We actually, after attempting it the first time, we decided that me and my mom were just going to get on a plane and fly to each location. So, because we were not fitting in there, legally not fitting in there. We could have fit in there, but it wouldn't have been very legal. But it was a good time. It was a good time. But usually, depending on what the show is, I'm either in my truck driving to the venue to meet my band there, or we rent something, whether an SUV of some sort, we rent it.
Now, not only in Louisiana, but across the state, you'll take your truck anywhere.
Yep.
I mean, you got a really cool light kit on it anyway, so you can travel at night, as long as it's legal.
Yeah, I bought that truck as is I have not changed any. I've replaced the door handle. I ripped the door handle off one time, twice actually. To think about it, I did have to replace the door handles, but everything else on that truck's completely as I bought it.
When you were on tour, standing room only tour, or wherever you were, maybe CMA Fest, did you have a chance to perform God Made a Country Boy?
Every show. Even before I released it, I made sure I usually end the show with whatever single is more prevalent, or is more recent, not prevalent, but recent. So now I end my shows with Guy with the Guitar, which is my most recent single. But all over the summer and in the spring, after we released God Made a Country Boy, and before, I was always ending my sets with God Made a Country Boy. That was the last song I did right before I got off stage, to make sure that was the last thing that people heard was God Made a Country Boy. And so I played it a good bit.
What about, let's talk about you evolving in your career, in your music.
Mhm.
Now, I know you're a traditionalist, and I've seen some of your shows, and they're really, really cool. If you get a chance, see this guy in concert. What about
Appreciate it.
evolving the texture of the show and the music and the lineup set and everything else? Do you adapt to that rather easily?
How do you mean?
Well, a lot of times there are.
Sorry, I'm simple.
No. Yeah, I'm simple too. Trust me. But a lot of times there's a set list, and everybody goes by the set list, and then sometimes you judge a crowd, and you say, you know what? Maybe we need to change this up a little bit. I mean, do you throw your band members off a little bit when you say, all right, we're changing it?
No, sometimes I do. We usually, so my band that I play with, they know a lot of songs, and I usually tell them during rehearsal, we have a ton of hours of rehearsal together. I mean, during the summer, before each show, we had at least 1 or 2 rehearsals that were 7 hours long a piece.
Wow.
We were there all the time, had lunch right in between it, started in the morning, had lunch, and then went on. But they kind of know my style. But just as an example, when I was playing the Texas Club on stage, I wound up looking at my watch and seeing, oh man, we need to cut. So I cut 2 songs and wound up, and I took credit for this and said, I hit it right on the head. Because when my foot left the stage at the bottom of the stairs, it was right at 10 o'clock.
I'll be darned.
So that was right when we needed to be off, and that was right when we got off. And I cut 2 songs midway through the set. I just looked at the guys and was like, no, these next 2 don't do it. We're skipping them. But usually they pick up on what I'm doing pretty fast. If we have to adjust, I'll tell them. But as another example, Zach Top, the other night, I wound up, while I was on stage, I had a dude holding up a cell phone and said, Zach Top, Zach Top. So I was saying the only Zach Top song that I knew lyrics to.
Sounds like the radio.
Yeah, it sounds like the radio. And wound up singing a part of it. Everybody seemed to like it, so it went pretty good.
Do you get a chance to perform for your fraternity at LSU?
Yeah, every once in a while. Just a couple of football games ago, I went there right before the tailgate. I just played guitar inside the house a little bit. I've done a charity event for them, and that was actually when I announced my single releasing. They put a stage together for me. We had speakers set up, and I had a bunch of my brothers came in, and I debuted God Made a Country Boy at the Pike House when it came out. That was the debut.
What about being signed onto a major label? Because that's
yeah.
huge.
That actually, that's a funny story. I'll try to make it short. I wound up going to the Bluebird Cafe. Jamie O'Neill invited me to come and sit in.
Right.
And she's a very, very, very good friend of my mom's, and I happened to be, I was actually here, and I flew in. That was a whole ticket crisis. Flew in, I did the song. Somebody in the crowd took a video, and it made its way around, and it actually wound up with Cindy Mabe, who then reached out to my mother trying to find me. Said, we've been looking for this kid for forever. We've heard his name pop up. I was writing all summer long, and I was playing shows too. She said, we've been looking for this kid, and we want to have a meeting with him. So I get back home, and my mom calls me and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm unpacking. I just got back home." She goes, "Well, you might want to pack an extra bag of clothes because you're coming back in a week." I was like, "For what?" She says, "UMG wants to meet with you." I was like, "That's not fun. That's not a funny joke. That's not a funny joke." She goes, "I'm not joking." So I wound up getting on another plane, heading back, and met with UMG, and then this spawned from it. It was, I wasn't, it was truly a blessing. It's not lost on me. I was not looking for a record deal at the time. I was still honing my craft, and I was still learning how to play the guitar better, still writing music, still getting everything together that I wanted to be together. And it just it's kind of like that God works on a time frame of his own, and you're just
Oh,
kind
I
of there for
heard
the
that
you're just kind of
so
there for
many
the ride.
times.
You could either want something to go faster and it's not going to, or you could want something to go slow. But when he wants you to do something, that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not on your time, it's on God's time.
time.
I have heard that so many times because I've gone through some changes in my life as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it. And a lot of people have told me, just sit back, relax. It's on God's time, it's not on your time. The hardest thing in the world really is to wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
one of the most difficult things in the world because you want things to happen. You want them to happen now. You want them to happen in your way. You want it to stack this way, but
Yep.
it doesn't. It doesn't
Oh, trust
do
me.
that. I mean, Alan Jackson's song, Lordy, don't the wheels turn slow,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
with his one of his first releases, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. It's so true. It's got to be on a timeline that everything works well together, especially with you being in school at
Yep.
LSU.
Yeah. That was
How difficult is it to manage a budding career and going to LSU
it's got some
and
difficulties.
fulfilling a degree program?
You know, it's got some difficulties. My mom takes a lot of the load off of my shoulders. I'm really grateful for her. She's my manager, so she deals with a lot of stuff for me. But the difficult part comes, and you have shows on the weekends, and sometimes there's shows that you can't pass up. Every once in a while there's real power in the word no. Sometimes you say no and you get a better gig. But sometimes there's shows that you don't want to turn down because they could be really fun, or they're just a really big opportunity. And those are usually on the weekends, but sometimes they happen to be right in the middle of the week. That's when it gets really hard, is because then you're scrambling to make sure all your teachers know that, hey, I'm going to be out of town, and you've got to make sure all of your work gets done in time so you can submit it in time so that everybody gets it and you don't have any late work outstanding. And my teachers have actually been really, really supportive. So has LSU. LSU's been really supportive of me. It's actually been a really, really cool experience. It's been a difficult experience, but it's been really, really cool.
You can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like,
Will you marry me?
Do I know you?
never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof.
Call Go Roof instead.
We offer a free, no obligation inspection.
A beautiful roof every shingle time.
Bobby, goes in the front.
What about your album coming up? Well, I know it's kind of soon, but what about an EP project or anything like that?
No, I just have a project in the works that I can't really talk about yet. But I don't have an EP coming out, but I've got some things coming.
We'll get ready for those radio tours because they're going to be dragging you like this. Okay, we're going to be in Omaha. We're going to be in Raleigh. We're going to be in Jacksonville, Florida.
I got to meet on
all
tour,
these folks
on tour this summer. I got to meet a lot of different radio stations, and radio station producers and DJs and everything else. And I loved a lot of them. It was really cool experience. And I had a lot of them was like, when's the radio tour?
Yeah.
When we doing the radio tour? I'm like,
right.
Whenever. And we're getting ready for it. I've still got to get through college, and God works on a time frame.
Yeah,
of
get
his
that
own,
degree.
so
Get
you
that
gotta
degree.
Get that degree
You've got
first.
this. This is okay.
Yep.
Get that degree, and then you'll be ready to go.
Yep.
Now, getting back to LSU, what's your favorite tailgating food? I know you must go to the games and you tailgate with your fraternity brothers. What's your favorite tailgate food?
I one of my favorite foods is jambalaya. Love jambalaya. But pastalaya.
Really?
It's one of my favorite tailgate foods. One of my fraternity twin. So me and him have the same big brother in our fraternity, Eddie. His family does a tailgate and they cook pastalaya and hot dogs and jambalaya and everything else. And we go over there and eat sometimes, and it's so good. and actually, our big brother Ben Lorette also has a family tailgate. We'll wind up going and crashing every once in a while for some food. So,
well, the college football season is going to be over with by the time you head out to what, Pasadena,
yeah,
for the Rose Bowl.
That was another big surprise.
You're a big representative of Louisiana in that.
Yeah, that was
you?
a huge surprise. I was at CMA Fest Fanfare X. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knows who I am now. But Fanfare X, I wound up. So for people who don't know what Fanfare X is, I have a booth and people come and meet me for the first time if they want to come and meet me. And there's tons of other artists there. And like Randy Travis was there previous year. Drake Milligan was actually in the same booth I was a year previous, and I took my girlfriend to go meet him a year previous, and then I wound up being in the same booth that I waited in line for. It was really funny. But wound up signing pictures, taking pictures too, and this nicely dressed gentleman walks up and says, "Well, Mr. Timothy, I am the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Louisiana, Billy Nungas.
Billy.
And I'm here to invite you to come and play on the Rose Bowl." And for a minute, I was like, this is a really funny prank. And then I realized I'm looking at the Lieutenant Governor's face, and I'm like, this is the Lieutenant Governor. And about this moment, my mom runs around from behind the curtain with her cell phone out and says, "Can you say that again?" So me and Billy stood arm to arm, and he resaid what he said, and we got it on video. But it's an absolute honor to be able to do it. My whole family's from here, and I've still got family from the very top of Louisiana to the very bottom, and that's sprinkled all throughout. And it really is. Louisiana's been like a second home to me, and it's a huge honor and a huge privilege to be able to do it.
We're going to be watching the Rose Bowl parade. This guy's going to be on the Louisiana float.
Yeah.
That's going to be great, man. I loved the float last year. It was amazing.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know what the Rose Bowl was beforehand. My older brother played football. My younger brother played football. I was more of a combat sports guy. I'm a huge mixed martial artist. I love mixed martial arts. Never really got into football until later in high school. And then later in high school, I started really getting into football and baseball. And then, of course, you come to LSU, you have to be into football. So then, up until then, I had never heard of the Rose Bowl, so I had to look it up and wound up looking at all the different floats that have come through and all the different people. I mean, saw that Lainey Wilson did it last year, which
she knocked it out of the park. Yeah, the Rose Bowl parade, they call it the Granddaddy. And it really is an amazing parade. It's beautiful, too. Visually, it's just gorgeous.
I actually have some friends overseas, believe it or not, that have said that they tune in and watch it because they like seeing all the floats go down.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Timothy, if somebody wanted to reach out to you on social networking, how do they do that?
I have Instagram, Facebook. I have a TikTok, too. I'm pretty... like I said, I'm old school, so I'm usually on Facebook or Instagram, but I do use TikTok quite a lot, actually, now that I think about it. But any of those, but also I'm with WME, so for booking WME. But yeah, just Instagram.
Yesterday was a great day. Today's going to be even better. go out there. We're going to be the best roofing company Baton Rouge has to offer. Let's go! Roof! Go! Roof! Go! Roof!
I do have one request from you,
All right.
a favor, if you
Okay.
will.
Yeah.
Next time I see you in concert, say here at the Texas Club, I have one song request.
Okay.
You're a Waylon Jennings fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a Mark Chestnut fan.
Okay.
Waylon Jennings put out a particular song years ago. Mark Chestnut recut it for one of his projects. I know you're thinking of it. I know I have the title here.
I'm trying to think of which one Mark did.
Broken Promised Land.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great song. If you could learn that one and play it in concert, that'd be great. No big emergencies, but like I said, I think that would be great in your set.
Absolutely. It's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, actually, when I saw you in concert, I was thinking of Waylon Jennings. I was thinking of other artists, and for some reason that song just popped in my head.
I draw a lot from other artists. I have a huge. Growing up, country music still is not the only thing I listen to. I listen from Frank Sinatra. That comes from my grandmother's influence. My grandmother loves Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, so she got me involved with that. And Tony Bennett.
The Rat Pack were some of the coolest guys that ever walked the planet.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Frank Sinatra, fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Is one of my favorite. Fly Me to the Moon is one of my favorite songs of all time. But I have a huge Southern rock influence, and 80s rock bands. They call them hair bands. Hair bands. My older brother was a huge hair band fan, still is. So whenever I was either forced to hang out with him, or he was forced to hang out with me, or in that pretty often time where we as brothers got together, we always blasting 80s rock and Southern rock. So I like having that little bit of spin in my music on that as well. And I try to use my influences as much as possible.
That's great, man. I can't wait to see you in concert again.
Yeah, I can't wait to play again. I love playing shows. Every time I get off stage, I'm like, all right, when's the next one? When's the next one?
That's great. I appreciate you sitting down with us here on the show. It was great meeting you a couple of years ago, and I was very fortunate to have a great conversation with not only Timothy, but his mother. Good people. This guy's a quality guy, and he's a class act, and I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Taking some time out of your busy schedule at LSU to come talk with us.
Yeah, I've got Italian right after this, so.
You're taking Italian? How do you like taking a foreign language?
It's fun.
You dig it?
It's fun, yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
All right, how do you say...
Don't ask me
that. We'll see you on the road in Italian.
I don't have no idea.
We'll have to go to maybe Italian restaurant and ask.
I'll have to go. I'll have to do some research on that one.
Man, and I'm still trying to conquer English. So you're way ahead of me.
I'm still trying to conquer English too. Some days.
Some days. Timothy Wayne, right here. We're going to include a couple of links to his music down below here on the channel. So thanks for watching Austin James Unleashed. I am Austin James. Thanks to Timothy Wayne for sitting in with us. We also want to thank Go Roof, a beautiful roof every shingle time, a big sponsor of the show. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. I am Austin James. This is Austin James Unleashed, and we'll see you soon.